Hi there. Okay, so today we're going to talk about consecration. Now, when we check the story of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 1, the Bible says, and Daniel purposed in his heart not to defile himself with the portion of the king's meat. Why did Daniel decide not to defile himself with the portion of the king's meat? That was Daniel's consecration. The Bible said for 3 years, Daniel ate just vegetables. And he came out, he was looking better than the rest who were eating the king's food. The Bible says the king engaged them in conversation, and he discovered that Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were 10 times better than the rest of the people. If you proceed further to Daniel chapter 5, the Bible says the king had a vision, and he needed people to interpret the vision. He called his astrologers and the magicians in his palace for them to come and interpret. When he called them, they couldn't interpret. This same Daniel was beckoned by the king. Now remember, the king in chapter 1 is different from the king in chapter 5. The king in chapter 1 was Nebuchadnezzar. The king in chapter 5 was Belshazzar, that is the son of Nebuchadnezzar. So there are two different kings we're talking about here. Now, Daniel was invited to the palace to come and give this interpretation. Before he could start his interpretation, the king, being a politician, gave an offer to Daniel. He said, if you are able to interpret this, I will give you a gold necklace, I will give you a scarlet, and I'll make you the third highest person in my kingdom. This was what Daniel did. Daniel said, I will interpret your dreams. However, you can keep those things. Remember in Daniel chapter 1, he began with a kind of consecration. Now in chapter 5, he was still maintaining the consecration of not receiving anything from the king. You know, there's a popular saying that says, if you can't say no to a king's food, you can't say no to his idol. Daniel understood that saying. He said, I will interpret your dream, but this offering that you are trying to give to me, you can keep it. That was him trying to still maintain the consecration. Although if you continue the story, you discover that the king eventually forced him to take it, which he ended up taking. But the gifts were not his motivation, they were not his priority. Am I making sense? Tomorrow we hear people say things like, oh Lord, I need the wisdom of Daniel. The question should be, can you maintain the consecration of Daniel? Daniel began his journey in Babylon with consecration. He rose up through the ranks with consecration. Where is your consecration? It's important to note that consecrations are not always palatable. No, but they are useful, they are beneficial to your destiny. Now, if you check the story of Samson, Samson's consecration was in his hair. But Samson began to play around sin, and eventually his hair was cut off. That is the danger of playing around sin with your consecration. Sin weakens your consecration. Let me tell you something. You don't need too many consecrations. Just a few of them. When you follow them thoroughly to the latter, you will discover that your life will be sharper than you could have ever imagined. What is that thing that God has told you to do that you are not doing? There are many things you'll become tomorrow. If you do not pay attention to your consecration, you might never attain to those heights. Consecration gives you an edge. Consecration gives you an advantage. Consecration puts you on a path where it's difficult to catch up with. Are you getting what I'm saying? I hope you got something from today's teaching. I'll see you again in my next video. Stay safe.